The question is, do I go with Make America Great Again, or do I go with Keep America Great? Because we made it great in theory. So you ready? Let's go. Let me hear it. And it is hard. You know, I was seeing the other day, they were saying it's probably the greatest theme in the history of politics. I think it is. Make America Great Again, MAGA. How do you give that up for a new one? CAG. Keep America Great. CAG. I don't know. Maybe it catches on. You never know. You know, at first with MAGA, I never thought MAGA was going to catch on. And now MAGA, everything's MAGA. I even say just whenever I do a tweet, boy, that has kept us in business, those tweets. It's my only form of defense because the press is 94% against us. 94%. So who likes Make America Great Again? And you people are pros, most of you, not all of you. I see a couple of people I know, they have not done well in this business. In fact, they're sitting outside of those doors trying to get in. Who likes Keep America Great? Okay, so ready? Make America Great Again, or Keep America Great? I don't know. It's honestly, I love the idea of Keep America Great because, you know, what it says is we've made it great, now we're going to keep it great because these socialists will destroy it. You know, that we're doing great, but they can destroy what we've done. With the steel industry, look at what's going on with the steel industry in your district also, by the way, along with Caterpillar. They're building steel mills, 38 steel mills all over the land, renovation and a lot of new ones, because we decided to put the tariffs on dumped steel, mostly from China. What it's done is beyond anybody's expectation. It's like one of the hot things. And by the way, this country needs steel. We've got to have steel. You know, there are certain things you don't have to have, like, you know, making the suit. You don't have to have it. You have to have steel. We need it for defense. You have to have aluminum. And it's incredible what happened to those industries. So we will make the determination. And honestly, I get a good vibe on both, to be honest. I love the concept. We made it great, and now we're going to keep it great. But I hate the concept of throwing away the most successful theme, I think, probably in the history of politics. I mean, there's something a little stupid about that, right? Let's take MAGA and throw it out. So I have a feeling maybe we'll try and use both. How about that? We'll try and use both, because they're both good. You know. Hillary had a thing like stay together or some crap like that. I think she paid $1.9 million for the genius that gave her the line. I can honestly tell you I didn't pay. That was made up by me. But they paid a lot of money, and then the first night, remember? We said, it's all about her. And they changed the theme the next morning. So
a second woman has now come forward to accuse former Vice President Joe Biden of inappropriate touching. But some high-profile Democrats are standing by the former vice president, including Senator Dianne Feinstein and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who both say this today.
I don't think it's disqualifying because I think disqualifying is with what your intention is. I do think this about communication in general. I know Joe Biden a long time. My grandchildren love Joe Biden. I mean, he's an affectionate person to children, to senior citizens, to everyone. That's just the way he is.
Power panel now. Judy Miller, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and author and adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Dan Henninger, Wall Street Journal editorial page deputy editor, both Fox News contributors. Judy, I'll start with you. There's a whole conversation now going on about personal space. Speaker Pelosi, if you let that soundbite roll, says, just pretend we all have a cold.
Exactly. Well, if Biden is everybody's friendly grandfather type, Nancy Pelosi has given Joe Biden some very good advice from a real grandmother, which is be a member of what she called the Straight Arm Club. And that is, you know, handshakes. Pretend you have a cold. Just Don't get in your
Why
space.
do you think you need to tell Joe Biden this point in his career, this information, Dan? I mean, this can't be the first time that this has come up in terms of the inner circle. Oh, he's a hugger. He's a whatever.
He is. I mean, he's famous as being a hugger. And in our day and age, as Speaker Pelosi is suggesting, hugging is out of bounds. But the real question here is Joe Biden going to survive this? Are more women going to come forward to say rub noses with them or hug them and so forth? Is he going to stay in the race? And I think Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein are very concerned about what this could do to the Democratic Party if a former vice president pulls out of the race and decides not to run.
He's not even in it yet.
He's not even in it.
That's the point. They're trying to drive him out, I'm sure.
I want to bring this in. GOP Senator Kennedy weighed in on the Joe Biden controversy. Watch it.
Somebody gets close enough to smell my hair, they may, get to smell my hair, but they may lose some teeth. This is no country for creepy old men. And leaning in and smelling a guy's hair or a woman's hair is a little bit too close for my judgment.
Well, one person's affectionate display is another person's creepiness. But I'll say this, I think this really is an effort by Bernie Sanders and his supporters to prevent Joe Biden from entering the race as centrist candidate. If people don't understand what's going on here, they're not looking.
Well, please explain it, because that's a huge charge. Why would you say that? And I hear Democrats making that
because
charge.
The first woman to come forward was someone who is actually supporting Bernie Sanders in the last go-around, and this was an ancient incident, as is the second nose-rubbing issue. 5 years, come on. I was in Washington a long time. I never heard a scintilla of rumor about Joe Biden and extracurricular activities ever. So I think this is just a question of trying to keep him out of the race.
So Marie Harf and Jessica Tarlov have all, we had them on Outnumbered yesterday and today respectively, and they both have argued that there might be a part of the Democrat Party, progressives, who Joe Biden is not right for.
Well, exactly, because there's a tension in the Democratic Party now between two choices. Someone to run against Donald Trump who's electable and can defeat Donald Trump. Joe Biden is the front runner. Or the left.
Even though he's not in yet.
Even though he's not in yet. Or the progressives feeling this is their moment. Their moment has arrived and they want one of theirs to run against Donald Trump.
Can one of theirs
has to make
beat
that
Donald
choice.
Trump?
Well, that's,
and who is one of theirs? Is that Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke?
I think it's Bernie Sanders, it's the AOC group, or crowd.
Ocasio-Cortez
that's
can't
right,
run, but I understand what you mean.
You know what I'm saying. This is going to be a fight within the Democratic Party over that issue. Who can win?
Thank you both. And back to our top story, one of our Fox top stories. President Trump is moving away from Obamacare repeal efforts for the time being, saying voters will have to wait until after the 2020 elections to see how the GOP plans to replace the Affordable Care Act. This after some congressional Republicans signaled an unwillingness to reignite the health care debate before next November. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, who sits on the House Oversight and Budget Committees. Good to see you today.
Good to see you, Harris. How are you?
Fantastic. Is this good news for Republicans that there will be this delay until after the election in 2020?
Well, I think what's good news to the American people is that the state of Texas and 19 other states are continuing to challenge Obamacare in the courts. I was proud of my former colleagues in the Texas Attorney General's office and the Texas Public Policy Foundation for taking this litigation forward. Obamacare is problematic. It's driving up premiums. It's increasing costs. It's pushing people off of their health care. When President Obama said that you couldn't keep that you'd be able to keep your doctor, it was a lie. People lost their coverage. They lost their doctors. I think Republicans ought to go on offense. I think Republicans ought to own health care. We ought to get out in front of the American people and say you can have the best health care in the world if you get government out of the way, instead of allowing the Democrats to do what they're going to do this week, which is have a sham resolution, which is going against the president because the president was right to stand up and defend those states and not defend Obamacare.
Well, that's interesting. So that sounds like an urgent matter. Can it wait until 2020?
Well, I think nobody's health care should wait. I think we should all be working hard to improve health care. The problem is you've got a recalcitrant Democrat Congress that refuses to actually take action to drive down people's premiums. I think that we ought to be doing that immediately. I think the president agrees with that. I think what the president is recognizing is that the House Democrats have no interest in actually working with us to solve any problems at the border or in the people's homes and with their doctors. So I would suggest that we should move quickly. This Congress should take action, but Speaker Pelosi is the one who needs to do that. Instead, she's playing games by putting resolutions on the floor of the House while millions of people flood across our border and millions of Americans don't have affordable health care.
I want to hear now from Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat from Virginia, on this very issue.
From the very first day in office, his main goal has been to get rid of Obamacare, primarily because of his insecurity about President Obama. He just wants to get rid of it. They'll get rid of it with no plan in place. They still don't have a plan. After so many years, they still don't have a plan, but the action that they're taking in court would strip health insurance away from millions.
Congressman Roy, is that fair? I mean, the president just as recently as last week was talking about finding ways to keep pre-existing conditions. He was pressuring Republicans to come up with a plan.
Well, you notice what Senator Kaine didn't do. He didn't offer a Democrat proposal because what Democrats are going to put forward is Medicare for all. They don't defend Obamacare, and they put forward a bill that's going to cost us $30 or $40 trillion and take away people's existing health care coverage. So I think we've got plans. We know we want to make sure that people can go have access to their doctors, direct primary care. We can make sure people have health savings accounts. We can make sure that they have health sharing ministries and health sharing organizations, portable insurance. We can make sure people can keep their insurance from one job to the next. All of that is possible if we just get busy doing the work of governing and making sure that we do our job. But the Democrats on the other side of the aisle don't want to do that. They want to keep this as an issue, and they want to scare Americans into believing that they're going to lose their insurance, which is not true. It's a lie.
Well, of course they want to keep the issue because by their estimations, that helped them win in the midterms last November. So I get the politics at play here. But what I think I hear you saying is that you're willing to work with what's there right now to fix it. Am I understanding that correctly?
No, I think Obamacare should be scrapped in its entirety. I think we should go back and create a system that is built upon market principles to drive down the cost of health care so people can go get access to the doctor of their choice, have insurance and coverage before they lose it. Democrats want to come in on the back end and say, oh, we're going to create a system where you lose your insurance, we're going to take away what you had, and then create a system that's broken. I think we ought to fix it on the front end so nobody ever loses their insurance. It's all built on a fabrication to scare the American people. When 90+% of the American people have insurance through Medicare, Medicaid, their employer-provided health care, or in the individual market. If you got Obamacare out of the way, the American people would immediately have affordable health care insurance in a way that they don't with Obamacare in the way now.
Real quickly before I let you go, the president has a way of getting people to come together on these really big issues. Do you think he's done that with health care? You know, he said, come up with an answer. He's looking to Congress, which I often say, and you know, it seems like Congress has a really hard time getting things done.
Well, the framers also gave us a system where we're not supposed to move things quickly. That's okay. But what we need is an actual conversation on the floor of the House instead of playing politics like the Democrats want to do. The president is exactly right to raise this issue up. He's exactly right to stand with the states who are challenging this litigation, which is flawed. Obamacare is a flawed piece of policy. And we ought to make sure that we come together to stand up for patients, stand up for the American people so they can afford health care, instead of playing politics and scaring them about losing coverage when nothing can be further from the truth.
Congressman Chip Roy of the great state of Texas, thank you for being with me on the program.
Thank you, Harris.